rewind, and you're back on the flight deck with the E2, they're landing and so on, and you go up there, what do you do?
We're usually up there about 15 minutes before the plane lands, because you never know if they're bringing us down at the beginning of the cycle or the end of the landing cycle. So we're up there just when it touches down so we can guard the props, shut down the aircraft, fold the wings, all that stuff. When the aircrew's done, they come out, they tell us what's broken, what's not broken, so we can get a head start on fixing it. Once they're out of the way, we go nose to tail, do a post-flight inspection, checking for loose knobs, missing stuff, anything they forgot. The air boss or the mini boss would be calling out what airplane's next in the pattern. And when we hear them call banger, they'd usually banger 601 or 602, whatever actual physical side number aircraft it was, is basically the next one to land. We'd usually sit by the island until we heard our plane, then we'd walk up to the foul line, you know, towards the front of the ship. Foul line kind of keeps the landing area separate from the I'm not going to get run over by an airplane area. And wait for them to taxi out of the landing area. They taxi basically into the safe area. We guard the props and we walk with it, whether they're parking it up front or parking it in the back of the ship. We basically follow it till they park it. They shut down the engines once the ship kind of gives us back custody of our own airplane. Like I said, they'll shut it down, and that's when we go about doing our stuff. All the different rates each have something to do. Some guys are checking the tires, some guys are checking the motors. You know, I'm checking all the electronics and all the classified stuff inside the airplane to make sure it's all didn't break, didn't go missing, didn't fall off. So basically at that point we can say the plane's ready to go. So if they need it to fly again, we pull out their hard drives. We call them RMCs. We call them bricks because they physically heavy like a brick. But they contain the software to run the airplane. And they also record, or can record, a lot of the data that the aircrew sees during the flight. So we pull it down so if they ever need to, they can analyze it, send it away for testing, send it away for analysis, you know, whatever they decide they want to do for that day.
And so after you strip that, and that's on the flight deck.
Yep.
And so tell me about that. Like what you do, you pull it out, and then you take it where?
We actually have carrying cases that are designed to carry these. They're classified secret, which is not a secret. It's pretty standard knowledge that they're classified secret. So in an ordinary place, it'd take two of us to carry them somewhere. But because you're kind of isolated on the carrier, you can do it by one person. So we take the actual bag, there's 6 of them on the airplane, and we have to take the shortest route from the flight deck where our airplane is back to our shop. Sometimes it's right across the flight deck. Sometimes it's through the skin of the ship, depending on whether aircraft are still going. But once we do that, we go inside our shop. We have to make sure everything's locked. Nobody's not supposed to be there is there. Then we open up the safe, put them in the safe. We've got tracking sheets so we know what RMCs are on what airplane. We know who signed them out, who put them in the airplane, who took them out of the airplane. So basically, once we get them back in there, we have to check them back in, log them back in. You know, then we have to close the safe, log the safe, shut, and wait for the round to start again.
And that safe, the classified safe, that takes 2 people?
Yeah, they call it 2-person integrity. There's 2 different sides to the combination, so one person can't open it by themselves. 2 people, so half the group has combination A, half the group has combination B, and you need 1A and 1B to get in there.
And talk about chain of custody. These things have to have chain of custody?
Yeah, I mean anything classified, period, no matter what level it is, it's got tracking, some type of tracking associated with it. So the higher you get, the more severe the tracking is. You know, the lower classification you get, I wouldn't say relaxed it is, but the easier it is to track. Like I said, we had everything tracked by serial number, so I could tell you this RMC flew in this airplane on this day. You know, it flew twice on this mission, it flew twice on that mission, so I could tell you where they were because that's how much we tracked it. If we ever transfer them away to anybody, there's a whole another set of paperwork that goes with it, normally. So basically we account that we're giving these away to this person, they're accepting it. You know, basically it covers us saying, this is our documentation that so-and-so has it and so-and-so took it.
So you're sitting in your workstation after this one flight landed, and you had just put that stuff away, and kind of step me through what happened next that was out of the ordinary.
If I remember correctly, it was kind of near lunchtime, so nobody was on deck running up any airplanes right away. We had a couple hours before we had to go back up there to launch another airplane. So we were just sitting there. A lot of times in our off times, there's nothing to work on. We're playing video games, watching one of the TV shows that the ship puts on, or one of the movies. Maybe 20 minutes at this point after the plane came down and everything, because the whole post-flight inspection takes maybe 10-15 minutes depending on how quick you are. Locking them in the safe as long as everyone's there is, 2-3 minutes at a time. We're way off in the corner of the ship. The only thing near us is a resting gear, or not a Cat Stream 4, all their equipment. So we're kind of in a little corner all by ourselves. So our officers never bothered us. Our commanding officer never bothered us. They'd make us go to them before they'd come to us. And all of a sudden there's a knock on our door. We have a combo lock on the door, so nobody can get in there without the combination. And despite the fact that he knew the combination, never used it. I'm pretty sure he forgot it after we taught him. But he knocks on the door, and there's him. He's in his flight suit. There's two guys behind him in flight suits. They weren't our officers. They weren't shipborne officers. So I had no clue who they were. To the best of my recollection, they had Air Force insignia on. But it was a relatively quick process. He walks up, knocks on the door. We open it. He kind of looks at me. He's like, I need the bricks that were on the plane. Okay. I only had one side to the safe, so it was a couple minutes before the other side came back up. We open them. I start to sign them out. He says, don't worry about it. And we hand him the 6 bricks that were on flight, 3 of our bags, and he leaves. And that was the last we saw of those. No documentation to count for where they went, no signing them out, no nothing. All that's really left to track those, as far as I know, is handwritten scribble in a binder that's long been destroyed by now.
So rewind up to the point right before he knocked on the door, and just take me through that one more time.
Like I said, there's a knock on the door. Open the door because they can't get in without the combo. Our commanding officer's there. 2 other guys in flight suits, so I'm assuming were Air Force officers, because pretty sure that's the insignia they had on. But they were not on the ship earlier. I did not see them come on the ship, so I'm not sure how they got there. But the skipper basically said, I need the flights off of, or the bricks off the flight. We opened the safe once the other half got there, because it was a couple minutes, because I only had one side of the safe. Start to log them out, didn't work. He pretty much stopped me in the middle of that process. Basically said he wanted them. We put them in the bags. He took them. He took his 2 anonymous officers and left.
So at this point, you didn't know that plane had been involved in an unknown, sighting of an unknown object. Would there have been data on those bricks that could have helped look at that sighting?
Yes. We were heavy in testing with CEC stuff, which is a cooperative engagement capability. So they can record a lot of the stuff the plane does. Can't say exactly everything they record and what they can't record, but it records a lot, and you can tell a lot about the flight by what they record, and it would have been on those bricks. It would have been on those hard drives. So chances are there's something on there that they wanted to see, or something they wanted to see if they could see.
And you mentioned that you also knew about the Greyhounds, and that these guys didn't arrive on that. So.
Yeah, there's so many similarities between C2 Greyhound and E2 Hawkeye that you can work on either one and know what you're doing. So a lot of times they didn't, the COD crews stayed on the beach and they just sent their planes out. We'd catch them, we'd turn them around, and we'd send them back to them. So we were usually up there, and I was the one in my shop with COD experience. So if they were on deck, I was generally up there helping them unload, so I could see the people coming on and off. It's hard to miss because they're wearing distinctive helmets. They're wearing distinctive little rubber ducky life preservers. So you see who comes on and off, and when you're doing it every day, you kind of notice. So I don't remember seeing 2 guys in flight suits get off. So.
And you can recognize an Air Force flight suit from another one.
Yeah, we used to do joint exercises with the Air Force all the time, basically comparing the Hawkeye versus the Air Force AWACS. So we dealt with them frequently. I wouldn't necessarily be able to tell you all the enlisted ranks,
yeah.
But the officer ranks, those I knew. Usually when somebody came to take those bricks from us, it was one of our lieutenants and a tech rep, somebody from Raytheon or somebody from Northrop Grumman, one of the companies. They're the ones who come to take those. It's happened before where we've given them data or done tests, and we sign them out and we transfer basically custody of them to those. And that was the difference between this specific incident and normal, is we didn't transfer custody to anybody. We just kind of signed them out to the skipper and washed our hands of it.
If, say, somebody in an official capacity needed to find those drives, do you think they still exist somewhere in the chain of command?
No, because they're literally commercial computer hard drives inside a funky case. When they go bad, we take them apart and we into 1,000 pieces. If you ever want to dive for one, go look at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. There's all kinds of smashed up ones there.
But they wanted the data for that.
The data exists somewhere. The data, I can almost... There's no reason for them not to save that data, because they can do all kinds of stuff with it. From training to, analyzing. They can do all kinds of stuff with it. And all the systems in use are still in use today. It's not like it's an old airplane that doesn't fly anymore. It's a couple newer versions of some of the technology. It's all still there. It's all still used.
So you're... Yeah, we have people coming. Hey, what are you guys doing? We're making a tourism video for the canyon. Oh yeah, so you're sitting in your work area and you're kind of looking at each other, and then after we've gone for a long time, so he comes walking in and you kind of describe that you guys started talking.
I mean, when Roger goes flying, it's not uncommon for them to kind of be gone for a little while, because they do debriefs in the ready room. They talk about all kinds of random stuff that could have gone wrong during their flight, stuff they screwed up, stuff. So it's not abnormal for him to be gone for a while. Sometimes he can go from the ready room and go down and eat, So for him to be gone for a while was not abnormal. But when he came back in, most of us had kind of gotten back into the shop at that point. So there's probably 5 or 6 of us sitting in there. When he walks in the door and he's kind of looking not his normal self, and he starts telling us not what happened, but he starts to tell us what happened, and never really got to the point of telling us the whole story, because our division chief walked in and basically put a squash to it and said, if you're told not to talk about it, we're not talking about it. So before we could ever get the whole story, it got squashed, it got shut down, and we were basically told not to talk about it. Oh,
we're going to pause for a second. Okay. So let's just talk about Roger and what you know. So who's Roger and what happened?
Roger was an in-flight technician. It was a program in the Hawkeye community allowing technicians to basically fly in the aircraft to troubleshoot problems we couldn't duplicate on deck. Roger was our only one. He flew quite frequently. He probably had some more hours than some of the officers in the squadron. But he was airborne during Commander Fravor's flight. So full mission, full air crew, so there were 5 people in the airplane. Roger would have been sitting in the radar officer seat, which is kind of towards the back middle of the plane. So to the side of each one of them, or behind them, depending how the chair's rotating, is a window. The air crew, the pilots have shielded windows, so they've got plenty of vision. Same object referred to by Commander Fravor kind of comes up along the side of the Hawkeye, forms up, where everybody can see him, and then takes back off again. Mission continued. They came back to the ship. The entire crew was met by somebody who took them down. They got debriefed. They got talked to. They were told not to repeat it. They signed non-disclosure agreements. And it was after that Roger finally came back to the work center to kind of hint to us what was going on.
So looking back at all this in the films that you've seen so far, do you have any personal opinion as to what these things were?
I'm one of those who has to see to believe. And obviously I've seen the evidence of this, so it exists. I don't know if it's truly like extraterrestrial technology. It could be, advanced technology we're working on. It could be advanced technology somebody else is working on. It could also just as easily be advanced technology from off the planet. It is something. I want to know what it is. that's the whole reason I chose to come forward to contribute to the story, because there is a story here, there is more information here. And the more of us that talk about it, the better chance of the full story coming together.
What would you say to your former shipmates that are out there that could lend support to this and to the pilots and so on?
Not everybody's in a position to open their mouth, because it is borderline a sensitive subject with security clearances and stuff. But there's a way to come forward without putting yourself in a position to share classified material or share anything you weren't supposed to say. You know, Roger came forward and contributed, not the whole story, but he verified stuff that was in his realm to verify without really putting himself at risk. So there's a way to come forward without, you know, opening the lid on something you're not supposed to talk about. You just got to take your time to think about it, what you're going to say, and how you're going to present it, because that's how it matters to protect yourself, to protect the people you're talking to, you know, and to protect the information that you swore to protect when you were in the service.
Okay, Commander Fravor has said that no one ever told him or his staff to be quiet about it and not talk about it. Didn't happen. Obviously, Roger had a different experience. Why do you think it was that their squadron and their particular plane was told not to talk about it and did, you know, sign NDAs and all that?
It probably has a lot to do with the information that Fravor had access to, the information that the Hawkeye had access to. Fighter pilots are restricted in a lot of the information they get. They can record a lot of information, but they don't actually see it, where we can see and record it. There's a big difference between the environments that they operate in. So that's my guess, is it had a lot more to do with what the Hawkeye saw and the Hawkeye recorded, because you're opening a whole can of worms on that side of the fence versus, you know, I'm in a strike fighter and I saw some stuff and my FLIR recorded it. FLIR technology is common knowledge. FLIR technology is very widely accepted. It's commercialized. There's not many secrets. I'm sure there is some, but there's not many secrets behind the FLIR technology that the Navy flew. So I'm sure it has a lot to do with the divergence of technology between the two aircraft.
The E-2 Hawkeye, would you say it's similar to like the quarterback of the air wing?
Well, without a doubt.
So just tell me, like, briefly, like the E-2 Hawkeye operates this way.
The Hawkeye's got its co-pilot, it's got its pilot. They're basically taxi drivers. Their job is to shuttle around the three guys in the back. You've got a radar officer, a combat information center officer, and an air control officer. And between the three of them, they do battle management control. They do search and rescue control. They can run 1v1 exercises where the pilots are training, you know, squadron versus squadron exercises where they're dogfighting and doing all that. We have the whole picture with all the sensors in the airplane with you know, the radar. We can tell where they are. We know where they are better than where they are. So we control everybody. We tell, okay, the bad guy's coming, go there. So, you know, the air wing relies on us to tell them where everybody is, to tell them where to go. We can see the whole picture because we're tied in with the ships, we're tied in with their own aircraft, we're tied in with Allied aircraft. It's a whole giant battle management picture that we see, which is why we kind of control everybody.
Was there anything that I hadn't asked you that you wanted to say?
Sure, I'll think of something later.
Yeah, that's how it always works. Oh, crap, let's record now, right?